Dangerously Confident, the formula. All right, welcome everyone. If you're looking to completely rewire your potential, well, you are in exactly the right place. Today's explainer is a ground-up teardown of everything we've ever been taught about building self-esteem. We're going to be diving deep into some incredibly powerful concepts from entrepreneur Leila Hormozi, looking at the actual data and the biological truths behind how true, unshakable confidence is actually built. And spoiler alert, it is absolutely not what you think.
What if I told you that confidence has nothing to do with feeling ready and everything to do with doing it scared? I want you to really challenge your core assumptions for a second here. When we look at successful CEOs running massive companies or brilliant public speakers stepping out onto a stage in front of thousands of people, we just naturally assume they have some magical trait, right? We assume they feel totally ready. But what if they don't? What if they're literally just as terrified as anyone else, but they've mastered a very specific formula for acting despite the panic?
I am beautiful. I am strong. I am capable. I am confident. Now, for decades, the self-help industry has fed us this exact routine. I mean, people literally write these exact affirmations on their bathroom mirrors. In fact, Leila Hormozi did this exact thing in her early 20s. She wrote all over our mirror, I am beautiful, I am strong, I am capable, I am confident. And you know what happened? Absolutely nothing. Looking in a mirror and saying words does absolutely jack to change how you actually feel when you walk out the front door.
Myth. Confidence is an input versus reality. Confidence is an output. Now, this right here is where most people get things completely backwards. We tend to treat confidence like it's an input, something you have to magically summon up before you can take action. But the reality? Confidence is an output. You can't just wish for confidence, any more than you can just sit on your couch and wish to be skinny. It just doesn't work that way. Confidence is the direct output of keeping the promises you make to yourself, especially on the days you really don't feel like doing it.
Moved to California with $5,000. Got a job at 24 Hour Fitness, realized it was a sales job, hid in the bathroom wanting to throw up, and then made the first sale. Let's look at Leila's origin story as a perfect example of this. At 21 years old, she moved clear across the country to California with just $5,000 to her name. She had no job, no real plan, and zero confidence. She landed a job at 24 Hour Fitness thinking it was going to be about exercise science, but within 2 days, she realized it was entirely a marketing and sales job. She was hit with massive imposter syndrome. Meanwhile, her rent was $1,400 a month and she's just watching her tiny bank account drain down. She realized she only had 3 months to survive. So, rather than quitting, she committed. She drilled from 4 a.m. to 9 p.m. She read sales books. She sought out anyone better than her. In fact, right before trying to make her very first sale, she was so terrified she actually went into the bathroom and hid because she thought she was going to throw up. But she didn't quit. She walked out of that bathroom and eventually she made that first sale.
Every belief I had about myself was broken. See, when that first sale finally happened, her entire team crowded around to congratulate her. But the crucial point here is that the celebration wasn't actually what mattered. Honestly, the money wasn't even what mattered. What mattered was how she felt about herself in that exact moment. The vision she had of her future self had just been pulled into reality. In a single instant, every limiting belief she had about her inability to sell or market was completely shattered. She proved to herself she could do it, and a whole new world of possibilities just opened right up. Survival wiring, the brain's biological tendency to predict fear and avoid unknown situations to keep you alive rather than helping you succeed. Listen, if you're someone who feels completely terrified when trying something new, I need you to stop judging yourself immediately. It is literally absurd to expect yourself to be confident. It's something you have never ever done before. Why? Because of our survival wiring. Our brains are built to keep us alive, not to make us successful. When you face an unknown situation, your brain can't predict what's going to happen, so it triggers fear to make you avoid it. It literally just wants to make sure you don't die. So, how do we trick our brains? Okay, let's dive into this. If our brains are biologically hardwired to flood our bodies with fear every single time we try to level up, how do we override that mechanism? Now that we know the fear is just a biological glitch trying to keep us safe, how in the world do we build the confidence we actually need? Confidence is a muscle. First things first, we have to understand that confidence isn't some permanent state you unlock and get to keep forever. Confidence is exactly like a muscle. If you don't continually work this muscle out by putting it under pressure, it's just going to atrophy and get weaker over time. You have to keep lifting the weight.
And to keep lifting that weight, you need the right mindset. We've got dopamine-driven versus data-driven. Most people operate on a dopamine-driven mindset. They track their daily mood. The problem there is our brains naturally hyperfocus on negative emotions. We easily remember the bad days and totally forget the good ones, which leaves us feeling super discouraged. To build unshakable confidence, you have to become data-driven. You have to track the objective truth and build undeniable evidence that overrides those loud, emotional narratives playing in your head.
Layla experienced this firsthand when she set out to lose 100 pounds. She made the decision to track every single meal and every single workout. Now, progress is rarely a straight, perfect line from Monday to Tuesday, right? She had days where she overate or slacked off on a trip. But because she tracked the data, she could look back and compare Monday to the next Monday or 2 Mondays from now. She could objectively see, hey, I had 5 good days and only 2 bad ones. Looking at weekly data points instead of daily emotional fluctuations is exactly how you prove to your brain that real progress is happening. Confidence comes from this data, guys, not dopamine.
Start so small that you can't lose. But what if you are tracking your data and you still aren't feeling confident? What if you feel like you're just spinning your wheels? Well, if that's the case, you are almost certainly taking too big of a leap. You might be trying to tackle 4 massive quarterly business goals in a single week. And when you do that, you stumble, you beat yourself up, and you completely lose momentum. Instead, you need to break those massive goals down into tiny, daily checklist items. You have to start so small that you literally cannot lose.
Don't eat less yet. Don't go to the gym yet. Don't measure yourself yet. Just make your bed for 7 days and take a picture. There is a fantastic anecdote about a fitness coach who uses this exact philosophy. When a new client comes to him wanting to lose weight, he doesn't ask them to eat less than the first week. He doesn't ask them to hit the gym. He doesn't even ask them to step on a scale. For the first 7 days, his only requirement is that they make their bed every morning and take a picture of it. That's it. Why? Because achieving that tiny, guaranteed reward builds immediate momentum. It creates this baseline of trust and confidence that empowers them to actually take the next, slightly bigger step.
Step 1, speak for 60 seconds on Zoom. Step 2, give a shout out in a meeting. Step 3, run half the meeting. Step 4, present at the annual team event. This brilliantly illustrates what Layla calls the tiny tweaks framework. She uses this exact gradual escalation in her own company for employees who are terrified of public speaking but really want to be leaders. She doesn't just throw them on a stage. Step 1, they just run a 60-second portion of a Zoom huddle. Step 2, they give a brief shout-out to appear on Tuesday. By week 3, they own a 2-minute portion. Eventually, they run half the meeting, then the whole meeting. Then they present to their department, and before you know it, they're confidently presenting at the annual team event. They become absolute rock stars on stage, all because they escalated through tiny tweaks.
What if I'm too scared to even start the baby steps? Now, I can hear some of you out there, you're looking at this and thinking, okay, that makes sense on paper, but what if I'm still just completely paralyzed? What if I am literally too scared to even start the baby steps? If that is you, pay close attention because what we're about to cover changes everything.
Emotion follows motion. It is not the other way around. You have to choose to tolerate discomfort rather than trying to eliminate it entirely. You've got to stop waiting to feel confident before you act. You behave your way into confidence, you push yourself into motion, and your emotions will eventually catch up. 15. Let's look at the physiological reality of this fear for a second. When you step onto a stage or sit down to have a really hard conversation, your mouth is going to go dry. Your palms will sweat. Your heart rate might spike to 190 beats per minute. But here's the amazing thing. If you hold your ground and just don't run away, within 15 seconds your heart rate will start to drop down to around 150. Within a minute, the saliva returns to your mouth. And within 2 minutes, the physiological panic is almost entirely gone. The fear fades not because you tried to manifest it away, but simply because you didn't run away.
I'm not confident because I don't have fear. I'm confident because I do things despite the fear. Here's the absolute truth, guys. Feeling scared is not a sign that you are weak. Feeling scared just means your brain is working exactly as it was designed to. It is completely normal for the fear to be at its absolute strongest right before you have a massive breakthrough.
Put the fear in your purse. So what is the final takeaway here? What is the practical application? It's this awesome little micro metaphor. Put the fear in your purse. Whether you are firing someone, telling your parents you aren't going to college, or having a really difficult talk with your spouse, stop trying to meditate the fear away. Stop waiting for it to just magically vanish. Acknowledge it. Pack it up, put it in your purse, and take it with you like a little companion. You feel it in your stomach, you don't necessarily like it, but you are going to carry it with you and do the thing anyway.
What fear are you finally going to put in your purse today? Building confidence is the absolute first step to getting anything you want in life. Now you know the formula. It's an output. It requires data. It demands tiny tweaks. And it requires motion before emotion. So I want to leave you with this one question, looking right at you. What fear are you finally going to put in your purse today? Take action, build that undeniable evidence, and watch your confidence soar. Thanks for diving into this explainer with me. Catch you next time.